Consider for a moment the global phenomenon that is football, or, if you happen to be in North America, what you stubbornly insist on calling soccer. Regardless of nomenclature, it is a game that transcends borders, languages, and even political divides. Billions passionately follow it. Entire nations rise and fall with the fortunes of their teams, and the sheer volume of dramatic moments it has produced could fill an ocean. But where did this colossal sport come from? Did it spring fully formed from the mind of a single genius onto a pitch? Or is its origin a far messier, more chaotic, and frankly, more brutal tale? The answer, as you're about to find out, is the latter. The birth of football wasn't a clean, clinical invention. It was a slow, evolving, often violent, and frequently unregulated process that spanned centuries and continents. It's less like an invention and more like a primordial soup of various ball games that, through a series of accidents, adaptations, and outright brawls, slowly coalesced into the game we recognize today. The story does not begin with neatly marked pitches and precise rules. It begins, rather, with a primal human instinct, the desire to kick things. And indeed, archaeological evidence suggests that various forms of ball games, often involving kicking, have existed for thousands of years. The ancient Chinese played cuju, a game involving kicking a leather ball into a net, as far back as the 3rd century BC. The ancient Greeks had epeiskairos, and the Romans, harpastum, both chaotic ball games involving hands and feet. These were the distant, unruly cousins of football, setting the stage for what was to come. But the direct lineage, the true genesis of modern football, largely points to medieval Europe, specifically Britain. Here, during the Middle Ages, a rather peculiar and often terrifying pastime emerged, known as mob football. Imagine, if you will, entire villages, sometimes even rival towns, engaging in a contest where the ball, well, often an inflated pig's bladder, was kicked, punched, and generally propelled towards a distant goal, which could be anything from a church door to a village well. These were not quaint Sunday afternoon kickabouts. Oh no, these were epic, sprawling melees, involving hundreds, sometimes thousands, of participants. The pitch was the entire town, and the rules were, shall we say, fluid. Broken bones, black eyes, and bruised egos were all part of the game. It was less a sport and more a ritualized form of chaos, a way to settle grudges, blow off steam, and perhaps occasionally accidentally flatten a small dwelling. The authorities, as you might imagine, were not always thrilled with mob football. Kings and local magistrates frequently issued bans, citing the disruption, violence, and general mayhem it caused. King Edward II of England famously outlawed it in 1314, stating that there is much noise in the city caused by the jostling of great footballs in the fields, from which many evils might arise. But like a particularly stubborn burr, mob football persisted, defying decrees and refusing to be stamped out entirely. Despite the bans, the game continued to be played, albeit perhaps in more clandestine ways. It was a resilient, almost unstoppable force, simply too ingrained in the local culture to disappear. And as time wore on, a crucial shift began to occur. Mob football, in its raw, untamed form, slowly started to be embraced by institutions, particularly schools and universities. Great English public schools, Eton, Rugby, Winchester, Harrow, and others, began refining mob football. Each school developed its own variations, its own peculiar set of rules. Some allowed carrying the ball, others strictly forbade it. Some favored brute force, others emphasized dribbling. This period was a glorious, chaotic experiment in game design, like a dozen different software companies all trying to build an operating system from scratch, each with their own unique bugs and features. The crucial tension that would define the future of football emerged during this period, the split between the kicking game and the running game. Some schools, like Rugby, embraced the idea of picking up and running with the ball, which would eventually lead to the invention of rugby football. Others, however, staunchly defended the purity of the kicking game, insisting that the ball should only be propelled by foot. This was the fork in the road, the moment where two distinct sporting pathways began to diverge. By the mid-19th century, graduates from these various schools, each accustomed to their own distinct brand of football, found themselves wanting to continue playing the game outside of the school grounds. But imagine the confusion. A group of old Rugbyans trying to play against a group of old Etonians. It would be an absolute mess, a chaotic tangle of conflicting rules and bewildered players. It was clear that standardization was desperately needed. And so, in 1863, a pivotal meeting took place at the Freemasons Tavern in London. Representatives from various football clubs gathered to establish a unified set of rules. This was the moment where the football we know today began to truly take shape. After much debate and a few heated arguments, primarily about whether carrying the ball should be allowed, the proponents of the kicking game ultimately prevailed. On October 26, 1863, the Football Association, FA, was founded. Over the subsequent weeks, they hammered out the laws of the game, explicitly forbidding carrying the ball in hand, except for the goalkeeper, and defining concepts like offside, throw-ins, and goal kicks. This was the legal framework, the foundational code that would allow football to evolve from a chaotic local pastime into a structured, organized sport. The immediate aftermath, however, was not entirely smooth sailing. The purists of the running game, feeling alienated, eventually broke away. They formed the Rugby Football Union in 1871, cementing the formal split between the two codes. But the FA's version, the association football, began its inexorable march towards global domination. The late 19th and early 20th centuries saw football spread rapidly beyond England. British sailors, merchants, engineers, and colonial administrators took the game with them wherever they went. It was easy to learn, required minimal equipment, a ball and a few makeshift goals, and offered a thrilling blend of physical exertion and strategic play. It was the perfect export. Leagues and clubs sprung up in countries across Europe, South America, and beyond. The game adapted to local conditions, but the core rules, those established in 1863, remained largely intact. International matches became increasingly common, leading to the formation of FIFA, Fédération Internationale de Football Association, in 1904. The international governing body would go on to oversee the game's global expansion. The creation of the World Cup in 1930 was a masterstroke, transforming football from a popular pastime into a global spectacle. It became a quadrennial festival of national pride, a gladiatorial arena where nations battled for bragging rights on the pitch. Today, football is more than just a game. It's a language spoken by billions, a shared passion that transcends political divides and economic disparities. From the dusty pitches of developing nations to the gleaming stadiums of global superpowers, the simple act of kicking a ball provides drama, excitement, and a sense of collective identity. The journey of football from chaotic medieval brawls to the meticulously choreographed matches of today is a testament to its inherent appeal and its remarkable adaptability. It's a story of how a primal urge, combined with the human need for order and competition, can give rise to a phenomenon that truly unites the world. The evolution of football is a beautiful example of emergent complexity. From simple roots, through countless iterations and a few decisive moments of standardization, it has grown into a sophisticated, thrilling, and endlessly engaging sport, beloved all around the world.